Our last inductee is Terry Hoover, and I didn't know Terry before, but I love what he does. And he has a friend that's going to introduce him. I caution Terry to pick better friends because I know him very well. But let's call on Ron Gillies.
He calls himself a lawyer. Anyway, I've known Terry since grade 1, and Terry always has enjoyed making maple syrup, sharing his knowledge about the process, the product, and health benefits. He's had several key influential roles in the maple industry, including serving the Ontario Maple Syrup Producers Association as provincial director, president, past president, as well as the president of the Waterloo Wellington Local. Terry graduated from King City High School and attended the Guelph University in the agricultural program. Terry's passion for maple syrup production is evident both in and outside the maple business. He's been awarded the Albert and Ruby Martin Award, which is a very prestigious maple syrup award in Ontario. This recognizes outstanding contribution to the maple industry. He has also received the Elmira Maple Syrup Producer Award of the Year in 2020. This award recognizes the quality and flavor of the maple syrup he produces. Terry has some acting skills as well. Terry appeared in the well-known Pitchin' In on the Food Network in March 2011 with Chef Lynn Crawford, and his charismatic personality and love of the maple won him the second appearance on Chef Lynn's Christmas special later the same year. Both of these shows featured Hoover's certified organic maple syrup. Terry has been a guest speaker of the Guelph Organic Conference, which is Canada's longest running organic marketing event. Terry created 2 courses of the conference, Maple Syrup Basics 101 and Organic Maple Syrup Production 202, correcting first year's mistakes. Terry is busy creating the next course submission for the Guelph Organic Conference with the hopes of continuing his educational series about certified organic maple syrup. In 2020, Terry was chosen by the Corporation of the County of Perth to be a signature experience in their Perth County Experience Development Initiative. This initiative allowed Terry to learn how to better expose his business to travelers and residents through a unique and memorable experience. This is how Hoover's Maple Experience was born. Terry has created a group experience that not only allows for learning the key steps of maple syrup production, but also allows for team building skills. This experience is offered throughout the year, not just during the maple season. As a true maple educator, entrepreneur, and proud producer, Terry makes sure he gives back. Each year he hosts residents from various nursing homes and community groups by treating them to pancake and sausage meal with the help of his wife, Diane. It is his way of giving back to the community. If anybody has the chance to travel to Hoover's Organic Maple Syrup operation for the tour, there are 2 must-haves. Firstly, and most importantly, a pair of rubber boots, because you're going to walk to the maple bush. Secondly, and you'll see this fairly shortly, time. During the tour, Terry will take you through the syrup production from sugar bush to the packaging of the product and everything in between. Some may be wondering, as I did, isn't all maple syrup organic? And organic certification comes with, this is a very general, broad term, but organic certification comes with the cleaning process of the equipment. You can thank me, as I've just cut down about 20 minutes of Terry's speech. Terry lives in Atwood with Diane, and now I'd like to introduce Terry as the recipient or the inductee into the KCSS, Case of Distinction.
Hello everyone, hopefully you can hear me. So I'll try and hold it together. There's something about this podium up here, I don't know, it's affecting people. Gotta get the glasses off. Or as some of my teachers like to do, don't you like it when I do this all the time? Anyways, I was asked, what did the school system teach me? And I gotta tell you, with the last name of Hoover, I know every suck joke there is, every poem, every song, you name it. So that, you develop a thick skin early on in life. So after much anticipation, we are all here today. And to be honest with you, when I first got the call, I thought, holy crap, they found out I didn't hand in that assignment in grade 12. I was gonna have to do it over again. Anyways, to much my relief, that wasn't the case. So I'd like to start off with congratulating the other inductees. You guys were supposed to set the bar a little lower. And I'd also like to thank all of you taking time out of your busy schedules to come out and celebrate with us. I'd like to thank Ron for putting my name forward to the Case of Distinction Committee. I don't know what he said behind closed doors, but it must have been good because after all, I'm here. As Ron noted, we got stuck together in grade 1. We've been together ever since. We're just inseparable. It's kind of funny, I haven't talked to him for months. A day will go by and I'm thinking, geez, I should give Ron a call. 2 hours later, the phone rings and it's Ron calling me. So it's back and forth. Thanks again to the Case of Distinction Committee for moving forward with the application. Words cannot express how grateful I am, and I truly am grateful for this. It really does mean a lot. I honestly wish all of my classmates could be here to see this. I don't think they would believe it. The younger, some would say foolish me, often wondered if I would ever use the knowledge I gained in the school, and to be honest, I thought the stuff would never be used in the real world. And I have a thing called the textbook world and the real world, which I'll kind of get into a little bit later. But who remembers the grade 9 teacher strike? 9 weeks, no school. Wasn't that a vacation? That was fantastic. So then they bumped us all into grade 10. No 9 weeks. We had to do the whole friggin' year. Oh my gosh. And then in grade 9, that's when they lie to you. They tell you take typing. It's the easiest credit there is. It's got to be the hardest subject in the world. I was able to type 300 words a minute. But when they take the mistakes off, it was like minus 32. Next up, I was kind of one of those students that all the teachers would say, you should apply yourself. You should try harder. I guess they got tired of saying that. But anyways, grade 10 was the turning point for me. Biology and math were my 2 favorite subjects. And I turned in a project I spent hours and hours on, all about Lepidoptera, moths and butterflies. And I received an A+. First A+ I'd ever received in my life. And that's what I would like to put over to the textbook world. Because a week later, when I went in to pick up my project, the biology lab was broken into and 2 projects were stolen, one of which was mine. Welcome to the real world. Next, I used to spend many evenings in class after school. I like to call it extracurricular activities, extra credits. They seem to call it detention. Regardless, that's where I learned a lot of things. One evening I'm in there and this girl comes in. And of course, all this has to remain nameless. And she always got 100% on every test. And she was given this ungodly mark of 98%. So she was arguing, conversing with the teacher, and the next thing she broke out into tears. And why couldn't I get this 100%? My record's perfect. So the teacher did what he had to do and gave her 100%. So that doesn't work for me, I find out. But anyways, moving right along, my next example is the textbook world. Everybody knows a bumblebee cannot fly, but yet in the real world, they fly no problem. Next up on my list is the snow you see on top of a tractor trailer going down the highway. Did you realize that's a fine? The MTO can give that driver a $100 to $500 fine. It's considered unsafe. But if the driver climbs up there to shovel the snow off, the Ministry of Labor will give him a $300 fine because that's considered unsafe. Welcome to the real world. I started my life with maple when I was 8 years old. I had to convince my parents to tap a tree. I'm not sure if that's the beginning of my negotiating attributes, but nevertheless, they caved. I think I exhausted them, and we tapped our first tree. Now, that went on until I was about 16. I can remember like yesterday, a buddy of mine tapped 300 buckets with a brace and bit by hand, and I can tell you that's the first and last year we did it by hand. So next, I was bitten by the bug. We in the business call it the sugars. It's a terminal disease. You can't get rid of it. There is no cure. Case in point, God forbid a syrup producer ever has a fire, he would be planning the build of the new building before the firemen have the flames put out from this fire. There is no question, the habit just takes over, and that's the sugars. Once I confirmed that in fact I did have the sugars, I had to look to ways to support my habit. Part-time jobs here, there, I was in school, and it was helping me to support my habit. At this point, I gotta tell you, I was tolerating teachers. I was a jock. I loved sports. As you can tell from this, I'm an athlete. But the funny thing is, when I think back, I love my coaches. I never had a bad coach. Well, coaches are really just teachers, right? And then I went on to coach hockey for 10 years. I had a short career in the NHL. I only had 2 years. A lot of people don't talk about that, but it's the Nobleton Hockey League, right? Like, that's the NHL. We play there. I mean, and then I see I'm supposed to leave my shirt behind when I leave, so I'll wait until I'm done the speech, and then you can have this one. Anyways, moving right along, as I said, had a variety of jobs, and then after school, I went into what we like to call the real world, the School of Knox, and I had a variety of jobs there, gas manager, mechanic, farmhand, you name it. So then, again, as I said, I was a jock. I wasn't into that artsy-fartsy stuff, you know, the drama class, art school, that sort of thing. It just wasn't for me. But by a fluke, an old hockey coach of mine asked me if I'd like to drive a school bus. Well, I don't have a license. Oh, we'll get you the license, no problem. So a couple of weeks later, I got my B license, off I am driving. So the next thing, it's like, okay, the bug was started. So I had to go and get my motorcycle license. Might as well get a motorcycle. Drive my mom crazy. So now I actually have an ABMZX license, which basically means if it's legal to drive on the road, I can drive it. I can still remember in high school one of my buddies saying, you know what, I'm going to turn 21, going to get my A license, drive tractor trailer all over Canada and the States. And I thought, nah, that's not going to be for me. Well, 35 years later, I retired from trucking. So anyways, back then, I think it's always important to find your passion and to always leave a door open, okay? As the ad in the paper says, when one door slams shut, the other door opens. Otherwise, it's a good car to drive. I have worked my way up to 600 taps at that point, and then in 1988, we moved to Listowel, and I finally got my farm and started with 300 buckets. I was really excited. I thought I was moving up the chain. 300 buckets meant a lot of manual labor, but with the sugars, you just don't care. You move ahead. You're addicted, and you do what you have to do to make that liquid gold. Next, I met my wife, Diane. She came on board at the end of the season, so basically it was clean up and washing the 300 buckets. So I always told her, if you play your cards right, you can see the whole process next year from start to beginning, so she had her warning. But no, she stuck in it, and she got heavily involved with everything, tapping, collecting, you name it. But at the end of that season, she said, you know what, it's either me or the buckets. So I hope I made the right choice. The buckets are gone. We're all on tubing now. So the sugars, they just keep moving you ahead. Today, we're at 3,500 taps on high vacuum with all the bells and whistles, with, of course, expansion to get larger, just in case those darn sugars kick in. And we've accomplished a lot, and when I look back on the progression from 1 tap to 3,500 taps, I can't help but thank the sugars and, of course, Diane for pushing me along this path. It all starts with knowledge I gained right here at KCSS. Math and sciences to understand ratios and sap to syrup, bricks readings, vacuum pump pressures, and of course, my favorite one, the boiling point of water. For those that don't know, maple syrup boils at 7.2 degrees Fahrenheit above the boiling point of water. I have yet to have a person come through my operation and tell me the boiling point of water. Sure, they all say 100 Celsius, they all say 212 Fahrenheit, but everybody forgets at sea level. And you see, we're 1,300 feet above sea level at our operation, so it boils around 210. But then Mother Nature says, no, let's throw atmospheric pressure into the mix, and that changes it again. So we have a lot of fun with that. Next up, not to mention plumbing, engineering, hooking up all pumps, lines, tanks, etc., and the layout of the production facilities. Math came in handy too when calculating profit loss. However, our operation is a not-for-profit organization. It wasn't set up that way, but it just turned out to be that way. Next up, we have marketing, negotiating with customers and stores, and just working with the most feared animal in the world, which is the public. The public always is right, and I just add the word thinks. The public always thinks they're right. So I consider myself to be a bit of a sponge now. I can't get enough information. I have become a knowledge groupie of sorts. Some of my teachers at KCSS would be both stunned and amazed at that last statement. I attend every lecture and every course that I can. I have been asked to speak at lots of places, and as Ron mentioned, the Guelph Conference. I put together 2 courses there, and then, oh my God, I'm now a teacher, teaching people. Like, I couldn't believe it myself. So here I am, speaking in the lecture hall down there with 150 people. It was something else. Anyways, I've always considered myself to be a farmer by trade, even though at the age of 6, my mother had me tested, and I am allergic to everything on the farm except food, which you can tell. And so I've had to struggle with that my entire life, and of course I have asthma brought on by allergies, so it was a lot of fun playing hockey and baseball with asthma. But you soldier on through. Now, of course, we call ourselves agriculturalists, because of course that sounds a lot more sophisticated. I feel I have a responsibility to preserve this planet and leave it for a better place for next generations. I focus on maintaining the woods of our production, but also consider the wildlife who call the woods home. We've expanded our trails and education and entertainment for both ourselves and the public. And there is nothing more entertaining than wildlife in nature itself. I seen a cute Facebook post the other day, and it says, I didn't realize how stupid my dog was when he chased his tail for 30 minutes. And then it dawned on me, I just watched my dog for 30 minutes chase his tail. Speaking of the public, we also want to include our seniors in our Maple experience. We host senior groups for pancakes, and a modified tour of our facility is taken into consideration for possible mobility issues. And we do have a tour going to the bush. Yes, you need rubber boots, but we have a shortened one, so it's all on cement, all on the level. I'm now semi-retired from trucking, as I said, so now I only have to work 40 hours a week on the farm. It was a bit of a juggling act, balancing off-farm work with farm work, but you do have to support that habit of the sugars. Finally, at this stage in my life, I feel learning is both important and worthwhile. I strive to constantly learn more and more about the maple industry and keeping up with latest research and technologies. In fact, part of my work and research led us to becoming certified organic, and as well, we're now kosher compliant. Not only was it important for me to produce a quality product, but also to have that third-party, non-biased inspection. So that way, we can tell you what we do, but now we can prove that we've done what we tell you we do. Kind of complicated. Anyways, being certified organic and kosher allows us to reach a broader market as well in the food industry. I also strive to be a good corporate citizen and have geared my operation toward a focus on sustainability. As an example, we use wood from our woodlot to fire the evaporator. We use distilled water from the evaporator, permeate from the RO machine for washing and cleaning. And basically, all that means is our operation uses 0 groundwater. It all comes from wastewater from the other machines. We also promote healthy growth of a diverse cross-section of trees, plants, and wildlife. In order to stay current, as Ron mentioned, I have dedicated my energies toward leading and participating in various organizations. Any learnings from my participation I share with others and fellow maple producers, the public, and students. I've been asked to speak all over Ontario, New York, and Vermont. It's kind of cool, spoken, you go down to the U of T lecture hall, that was cool. But the best place I ever spoke, for me personally, is in a church. However, they wouldn't allow me to use the pulpit. I had to stand beside the pulpit, but that was pretty cool. So then when I was down there, I learned from a chap by the name of Nate Bissell, and he is in New York, and he spent thousands of dollars on branding. You have to have your own name for your syrup, you know, and so he has this big long name that I can't remember. And he says, after all, who wants to be named after a vacuum cleaner? Bissell? And I said, hello, over here. So Diane doesn't like my sense of humor. I think we should embrace our name, you know, Hoover. The name sucks, but our syrup doesn't. But, so then at one of my symposiums, one of the guys talking, and we're talking about the art of making maple syrup. And apparently, it's quite an art to be good at making maple syrup. So it's like, holy crap, I'm an artist now. So much for the artsy-fartsy people. I'm in there. Yoo-hoo. Recently, I've become involved with the local high school program, participating in their co-op program. And you know what? I wish they had it back when I was a kid. Oh, my Lord. Anyways, it's really great to be able to get with these kids and balance their classroom theory with periods of practical, hands-on experience and stuff that they can use in the real world. And through this co-op program, students gain practical experience in the field of agriculture. And, fun fact, maple syrup is actually the first crop of the year off of the farm. What I'm trying to achieve with this new co-op venture is not only share my passion for maple, but more importantly, help develop the students' personal strengths, skills, interests, and prepare them to learn and thrive as a team member in the real world. And this circles back to me being convinced that school and learning is both important and worthwhile. Thank you again for considering Ron's application and deeming me worthy of this recognition. And when you're bored, you check out hooversmaplesyrup.com, and that'll tell you all about me and Diane. Thanks again. I get to keep it. Okay.